Hi, my name is Danielle Reed, and the decision to study Japanese language has been one of the most influential decisions that I've ever made for my life and my career. I've used Japanese language at every stage of my career. I am not a fluent Japanese language speaker. I consider myself to be a conversational Japanese speaker, possibly intermediate level Japanese. But for me, and in what I've been able to do, it's been enough. When I was a college student, I double majored in Japanese studies and international affairs. My first job after college was at the Embassy of Japan in Washington, D.C. as a diplomatic assistant. I primarily worked with the minister from METI, the Ministry of Economy, Trade and Industry, and I focused on facilitating meetings, staffing events, and creating reports, drafting letters, things of that nature while I was working there. But having studied Japanese language was probably the skill set that helped me the most in that job. Not because I needed to speak it every day, but because the environment was like working in an office in Japan. And probably the closest you can get to that, actually, without working in Japan. And if I had not had that background in Japanese language and culture, I think that I would have been really kind of inept at working in that environment. So for me, it was absolutely essential. And the most fun part about using Japanese language, of course, was just the daily interactions that I could have with my colleagues. I could do some translation work as well, which made me feel like I was really being a part of the kind of U.S.-Japan relationship, that I could really affect some things in it or help with some different policy reports that were being created and things like that. I spent 3 years at the Embassy of Japan, and after that I decided I really wanted to live in Japan again. I'd studied abroad there as a junior in undergrad, so I applied to be an assistant language teacher as a part of the Japan Exchange and Teaching Program, or the JET program, which I think many of you may be familiar with. So I was accepted, and I worked in Sendai City for 3 years as an assistant language teacher. And having the Japanese language experience, even though it is not required to be selected for this program, was incredibly valuable and helpful. Once again, to engage with members of the wider community, in particular the teachers that I was working with who were not English teachers at my school. They were, of course, very welcoming of me, but I think that having that shared language was what helped me to really become a part of the community there. It might be different for other people, but I found it to be somewhat necessary. And I really loved teaching elementary school students. I primarily taught middle school, but having Japanese language ability and working at an elementary school and being able to play with the kids at recess and just kind of be a goofball in a professional setting was wonderful. So I had so much fun. After that, I really wanted to work in the nonprofit sector. I'd spent a total of 6 years working for different Japanese government agencies, and I wanted to do something different. So when I came back to the United States, I was looking for jobs in that field. I reached out to my colleagues from the Embassy of Japan to see if they knew of any opportunities. I still wanted to work in U.S.-Japan relations, and I especially wanted to work with programs that were focused on international exchange between the United States and Japan. So I was introduced to a woman who had founded her own private family foundation, and she was a Japanese expat, and she had already developed a global leadership program that I was then able to take over and lead for the next 5 or so years, in addition to many other kind of functions at this nonprofit. And I didn't know that kind of job would be possible for me. It's a very competitive field. It can be international education and international exchange. So just having the opportunity to meet her through a network that I developed at the very beginning of my career, and through Japanese colleagues, was really impactful. And one of the biggest pieces of advice I have about a career and seeking a career that you're going to be happy in is not only to find something that fits your interest, that you're passionate about, that you're good at, with skill sets that you have, but also to seriously consider who your boss is going to be or who your direct report is going to be. That person will have so much influence over your day-to-day, and they can be your biggest champion or they can kind of be your biggest headache. And in my case, I was so lucky to meet my former boss because she encouraged me in every aspect of my career. She enabled me to become a certified project manager. I was able to take classes and pursue that so that I could implement and operate programs more effectively and efficiently. And I was able to become quite good at it. So I told her that I really wanted to focus more on international exchange programs, and she encouraged me to start my own consultancy. So I became an independent consultant late last year, so it's been almost 7 months. And as an independent consultant, I'm actually still able to work with that foundation and work on the former program that I created in the global leadership space. And I'm now able to work with other Washington, D.C. area nonprofits who are interested in developing similar programs. So I'm able to help them get funding, write grants, and then create programs and implement them for a number of organizations. I have a lot of flexibility in my day-to-day life. I still focus primarily on U.S.-Japan relations and U.S.-Japan exchange programs. So Japanese language is still a critical part of what I do. And I have several documents I have to translate from Japanese to English tomorrow. So it's something that it's been exceedingly important to me to have that language ability, to be able to use it in my career. I had no idea that I could start my own business, start my own consultancy practice, and that there would be work in this field for me to do. So far, it's been good, even with the kind of recent situation with COVID-19. But yeah, it's been eye-opening to be able to take my career to this level and this stage. So yeah, my advice, if you're interested in studying Japanese, is to find a way to immerse yourself in it. Japanese is a tool. It's just a skill set that you can have. Japanese language is not a career. There are other skill sets that you need to have also, but having that foundation can really be essential to how well you're able to do your job or how well you're able to interact with colleagues later. So thank you very much.